and are required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
The team's looking good this season.
I think so. Man, I miss playing football. Being young with unlimited energy to burn. Ever since I turned 40, I just can't find that fire I used to have.
Think it could be lower testosterone?
What do you mean?
All guys lose their edge when they turn 40. The body has less testosterone. That's why I take Nugenix Total T.
I've heard about Nugenix. That really works?
Since I started taking Nugenix, I'm lifting like when we played for Coach Carter. I feel more energized at work. It's even spiced up things between me and the missus.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try?
Yep, send a text. It's that easy.
Text FORCE to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. It's the #1 selling testosterone boosting brand at GNC and Walmart. Do it now and they'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, their newest, most powerful fat burner ever, absolutely free. Text FORCE to 42424. That's FORCE to 42424.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
This is Paul Feinbaum. That'll do it for me today. Coming up next, The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
We aren't a winning school. We are a championship school, and we make legends. Filling the Crimson Tide as they look to continue to rise to the top of the NCAA basketball mountain on your home for Alabama basketball.
Listen to Alabama basketball all season long on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
It's laundry season at Owen Home Appliance Center. Tired of that washer walking out the door and having to dry a load 2 or 3 times? It's time for a new washer and dryer. Pick from brands like Maytag, GE, Whirlpool, Electrolux, and of course, Speed Queen. Try the new 2-in-1 GE Profile that washes and dries a load all in one machine. Visit the interactive location in Lacey Springs where you can try the washers and dryers before you buy them. Owen Home Appliance Center. Quality products, quality pricing, quality service. It's in the name, Owen Home Appliance Center.
I'm here with Vice President of Mortgage from Bank of Frank Ewing, John Kendall. And John, if you're hearing this commercial right now and you're thinking of getting a new house, boy, oh boy, do you guys have a deal.
We do. It's a grant. $25,000 if you're a veteran, $20,000 if you're not a veteran. This can be used for closing costs, down payments.
Very simple. All you have to do is give Bank of Frank Ewing a call at
256-507-9180.
And how long does this process take?
Oh, it takes just a few minutes, maybe 15, 30 minutes on the phone. We'll send you a link and you fill that out in your own time. We'll approve you.
Who would not want $25,000 for a new house? John Kendall, give them the phone number and online address one more time.
256-507-9180 or at bankoffrankewing.com.
It's Bank of Frank Ewing giving you $25,000 for a new house. Bank of Frank Ewing in Hazel Green is an FDIC insured bank as well as an equal housing lender.
NMLS number 446707.
Conference USA is bringing its premier basketball event back to the Rocket City. Don't miss the 2025 Conference USA Basketball Championships March 11th through the 15th at the VBC Probst Arena, featuring 20 men's and women's basketball teams playing 18 games with CUSA titles and NCAA automatic bids on the line. Find out who's going to be putting on their dancing shoes. Tickets as low as $40. Visit Ticketmaster.com today to experience Conference USA hoops in the Rocket City, March 11th through 15th. Eagle Masonry and Installation. It's right there in the name. Eagle is your one-stop shop for block, stone, or brickwork, monument signs, and outdoor kitchens and fireplaces. Eagle also offers the finest craftsmanship and insulation, including fiberglass or spray foam insulation, and of course, insulation removal. Philip Love and his team have years of experience, bringing the region the best in masonry and insulation services. For more information and a quote, visit insulatewitheagle.com or call 256-755-1556. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Are you tired of power outages disrupting your life? It's time for a Generac standby generator from Current Electrical. Storms may rage outside, but inside your family's powered up. So why choose Current Electrical for your generator needs? 1, we offer a wide range of models to suit every budgeted energy requirement. 2, our project managers handle every step of the process: power, gas, permitting, and inspections. 3, our certified technicians install your generator with precision, ensuring peace of mind. Don't wait for the next blackout. Call 256-880-1880 or visit us online at jetsuperstore.com.
There's the phone and no one to answer.
256-576-4977.
And as a result, we got many, many phone calls and letters.
Give us a call on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline today. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone. This hour is brought to you by Woody Anderson Ford, Alabama's F-150 Superstore. Welcome to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, 256-576-4977.
That's how I roll. And I'm not going to drink and drive anymore.
That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Wes and Steve.
Well, we have made it to the final day of February. Final day of February. Wow. We are already here, getting ready to turn the calendars over to March. Full transparency, Wes Neighbors is not here. And I'm one and done in this segment. Brian, you and I, we're done after this segment.
Well, normally we do a little more on Friday, so I want to make sure we didn't miss out.
There it is. There it is. Yeah. If
we've hit the archives and we've got some great interviews this week to play with you guys. If you didn't get a chance to hear them before, some really good. We're going to hear from John Cohen, the AD down at Auburn, David Cutcliffe, who's a wealth of information.
Yeah.
And
it's a big basketball weekend as well. Richard Hendricks, the Limestone County Sports Hall of Famer, and, of course, former Crimson Tide basketball, and the former Athens Golden Eagle as well.
Yeah. And to round that out, Brian Passing's going to come along and tell us what his observations coming up for the weekend.
It's a big game for Alabama, Tennessee. You'll be able to hear it right here over the airwaves beginning at 2 o'clock.
We're going to try to get it all in 2 hours.
That's right. So
we told Paul to go just kind of hang out and maybe go at like 5 after 7.
Told Paul to eat a cheeseburger.
Yeah, there you go. He needs one. He's off the school.
So that comment, someone mentioned eating a cheeseburger yesterday to Paul Feinbaum.
Yeah.
And Paul said, boy, that sounds pretty good.
I don't think it's allowed to.
So I called him out on it. I texted him and said, I'm setting the over-under at 15 years since your last cheeseburger. And he said you can double it.
Ooh.
30 years without a cheeseburger.
That
sounds about right.
Just from getting little snippets from him talking over there, I think he was completely on smoothies and kale.
Well, I know when he initially dropped a lot of his weight, it was a lot of tuna.
Yeah,
and when I heard that, I'm out. I'm out.
What? You're not a tuna fish?
No.
I think you're missing out.
Am I?
Yeah. Get those tuna steaks, grill them up just like you would a pork chop. Yeah.
So we're one and done with this segment, meaning if you'd like to join us, now is the time to do it. I do have quite a bit of audio to get through here of stuff that I found interesting. The NFL Combine going on right now. I guess I should give you the telephone number. 256-576-4977 is the telephone number. So I did find out something from the NFL Combine as the quarterbacks were made available to the media today. There is an SEC quarterback who fancies himself as Jalen Hurts. And I wonder if I just throw that out there. Name me a quarterback that is in Indianapolis right now. Do you think he would say, I am comparable to Jalen Hurts? See, I bet most of you looked at the radio and said Jalen Milroe. I would have gone there. I would have said, okay, he's got the Bama tie, kind of the same body type, especially lower body strength. No.
It would also been acceptable for you to stare at your radio and go, what are you talking about?
Yeah. By the way, I don't think none of these quarterbacks remind me of Jalen Hurts, especially the former SEC quarterbacks. But how about Jackson Dart?
I feel like it's a little bit of a cop-out because he just won the Super Bowl, but I love Jay Hurts and what he does. I feel like I'm very similar in my play style to him. I feel like we can do a lot of the same things. Obviously he's an elite player and I'm trying to reach that level, but he's been somebody that I've tried to resemble my game after just because of his versatility, being able to run and throw the ball, and just how strong he is in the pocket. I think that's something that I've had a lot of fun watching and observing his play style.
I maybe he will be the next Jalen Hurts in the National Football League.
I don't see it. Jalen Milroe was made available to the media as well. And here is a little bit of the former Crimson Tide quarterback.
I'm cool with being underrated. You know, I played in the hardest conference in the country. I played against the number one team in the country, the number one defense in the country. So if I lack knowledge, I wouldn't be able to win big games. And 2023, my first year starting, I didn't lose the SEC game. We was playing a lot of different differences, a lot of things that was unraveled when it came to the game planning, and a lot of things I pour into that people don't see. You know, it's a grind, you know.
What is it all about, Jalen?
It's all about opportunity. I'm not someone to try to be a savior. I'm someone to just trying to better a program as a whole. And so it's all about opportunity, you know, and I would love to seize that opportunity as well and grow as a player. You know, the biggest thing as a player, be better than you were the day before and try to strive for greatness. You know, climbing a mountain ain't easy. But when you get to the top of the mountain, you'll learn so many things when it comes to adversity, when it comes to hardship, things along the way. And so I had all that throughout my journey as a player. And so I'm just looking to lead, looking to grow as a player and be better than I was this past season.
I can almost hear all Bama fans saying, don't have to hear that in the fall. That don't have to listen to those. It almost feels like he had the same sound bites for the last 3.5 years. Felt that way to me. Anyway.
What's the old thing? If you're great, you don't have to say it.
Yeah.
I mean, no, nothing against him. He's very good. But I don't think he's a Jalen Hurts.
That would have been Jackson Dart comparing himself to Jalen Hurts. Just for transparency's sake, not Jalen Milroe. I don't see. Maybe I'm wrong, but I really don't see either. Quarterback is just so hard to pin down as to how it's going to translate up at the next level. I wish him nothing but the best. I don't see a whole lot of success either for Jalen Milroe or Jackson Dart in the NFL, but I've been wrong in the past. I'll be wrong again in the future. Who knows? All right. And on the subject of some college football, mentioned it yesterday here on the program, Brandon Marcello went on a bit of a rant, but nonetheless, there was some new information. This was on the Chuck Oliver show yesterday, and it made me call Brandon Marcello specifically at what he says at the end. This is a rather long soundbite, but there's really good information of stuff. One, you probably already know. Two, stuff that I didn't know, especially at the end of it. And I thought it was fascinating. So I reached out to the folks in Atlanta. And they sent me the interview last night. And so that's why I have this audio here. This is yesterday's Chuck Oliver show. Brandon Marcello.
The things that have leaked out and we've confirmed through our reporting is that the Big Ten and SEC want to do automatic qualifiers, 4 apiece in the Big Ten and SEC, 2 for the Big 12, 2 for the ACC, and then down the line. And what that does is only allows 1 at-large bid for a program out there, which will probably end up being an SEC or Big Ten team more often than not. So in a lot of ways, the straight seeding just completely won't matter because some years you're going to have the number 19 team in the SEC as the number 4 seed, and they get an automatic qualifier. And so what this is doing in 26, potentially, if they were to push this along, is they're eliminating the selection committee in a lot of ways, the rankings, which is kind of there by design, right? The Big Ten and SEC and a lot of conferences had issues with the makeup of the selection committee, and they want to remove that kind of human element out of it as much as possible. Also, the other thing here, of course, the driver, the undercurrent of everything these days is money. And if you're able to do automatic qualifiers in the SEC and Big Ten, you set up the possibility for the SEC or the Big Ten to set up their own play-in games for the playoffs. So we're assured 4 automatic qualifiers. So why not, instead of doing an SEC championship game, why don't we do number 1 against number 8 in our SEC standings, and the winner goes to the playoff, and then so on, so forth down the line. So you could do 4 play-in games on your SEC championship weekend. And in a lot of ways, you're allowing opportunities for your teams like number 8 so-and-so to get in the playoff. But also, even if the number 8 team knocks off your number 1 team, your regular season champion, that regular season champion might end up getting that at-large bid anyway. So you're setting yourself up to kind of load the playoff with 5 teams when maybe you're only really deserving of 4, so to speak. And you're doing this and you create a new TV package. You have extra TV inventory of games and you can sell that package to your broadcast partner. Also, if the SEC and Big Ten get their way, more likely than not, the SEC will finally go from 8 conference games to 9 conference games because all of a sudden they won't be worrying about strength of schedule. So you play 9 conference games and maybe 1 against the Big Ten, which, by the way, that will create a new TV package. And then you can schedule an FCS team or something. You don't have to worry about strength of schedule really anymore. You can play whoever you want, whenever you want. The SEC gets more money for adding an SEC conference game on their schedule, setting up a Big Ten SEC challenge of some sort. And now the strength of schedule metric is pretty much eliminated for you unless you're a team trying to get that one at-large spot that's available in the playoffs. So in a lot of ways, obviously this is very favorable for the Big Ten SEC competitively, but more so than that, it provides an opportunity for them to create new TV packages through the play-in games at the end of the regular season, but also add an extra conference game. And the Big Ten and SEC can schedule challenge games among their teams and do so year to year and maybe do those based off standings. So let's say your SEC champion this year goes against your Big Ten champion in the season opener the next year. They could do that now if they move forward with this. So it's a lot of opportunity to make more money in addition to just absolutely owning and loading the playoff.
So there's a lot in there. There was a lot of information there from Brandon Marcello, some that you probably already knew in terms of both the SEC and the Big Ten wanting multiple seeds in the tournament. Now, something that just frankly surprised me, and it's the way Brandon presented it on the Chuck Oliver show yesterday, and it's why I wanted to play it for you, because Brandon is very plugged in. As the national beat writer for 247 Sports, very plugged in. And that's why I wanted to play that full soundbite for you, because he's talking about basically this whole strength of schedule conversation that we had at the end of last season going to go away, especially if you have this challenge system in place as well and multiple seeds and play-in games at the end of the regular season. I can almost hear Wes right now saying, once again, how many games is too many games? And I do wonder, as a college football fan, I mean, the game has changed. There is no doubt college football is not the same that it even was 3 years ago. So change is happening right in front of us. And I wonder what this is going to do to the hardcore football fans out there. Are you going to get turned off by this? Are you about to tap out because this is going to be NFL junior, minor league NFL football? Because it's going to have that feel to it. I really hope that the pageantry around college football and the uniqueness of college football stays there. It just, that the more we go down this road, it just feels like NFL light to me. In terms of TV ratings, last year was a fairly big year for college football, even with the national championship game decreasing. Although I think they are looking maybe at possibly turning that into an ABC thing and not an ESPN thing. And I think that's a large reason why those numbers, I mean, it's a subscription base. And if you don't have access to ESPN Plus or someone bootlegging it off YouTube somewhere, and those numbers are harder to get. But that's why I think they're going to flip it from ESPN to ABC in order to keep that contract moving forward so more people can have access to it. And I'm sure the folks at Way 31 here in our own backyard would probably enjoy that as well. 256-576-4977, the telephone number, 256-576-4977, the number to be on the program. Something else that Brandon said in that was, I thought this was a 2-year experiment. I was told that this was a 2-year experiment, that they were going to give it a full 2 years but it really felt like the way Brandon presented everything and what he just said, that they kind of one and done, pulled the Band-Aid off and said, here's our fix, and this is what we're going to go with. But keep in mind, and you'll hear it later on in the show, my conversation with David Cutcliffe, because I asked him specifically about 8 or 9 conference games, and he has been a big proponent of keeping it at 8, and especially after what the committee just did. The committee valued wins over strength of schedule. You could play Little Sisters of the Poor and get into the college football playoff. You're welcome, Indiana. You're welcome, SMU. It's just where we're at right now. So I think we were all of the opinion that the committee got it wrong, at least in terms of how the field was set forth with just 1 year of 12 teams. So rather than look at the committee, I do find it interesting that is as much as I've ever heard, and certainly not read anybody attacking the committee on what they did wrong. So but eliminating the playoff committee, it's how he said it. Let me try to play that one part again from Brandon.
And so what this is doing in 26, potentially, if they were to push this along, is they're eliminating the selection committee in a lot of ways, the rankings, which is kind of there by design, right? The Big Ten and SEC and a lot of conferences had issues with the makeup of the selection committee, and they want to remove that kind of human element out of it as much as possible.
And why is that?
Also, the other thing here, of course, the driver, the undercurrent of everything these days is money.
Obviously. Everything is revolving around the almighty dollar as well. I found that to be a very concise but yet very informative way to map out the potential as to where the sport of college football is going. So let's just keep that in mind. Love to get your thoughts on it as well. Hearing that at 256-576-4977. Now, in terms of the challenge games, I don't know exactly how to feel about it. Of this Big Ten SEC, there is something about rooting for the little guy in a smaller conference of finding a heater and just rolling with it, and it's a great story. It really is. But it feels like if we go down this road.
But more so than that, it provides an opportunity for them to create new TV packages through the play-in games at the end of the regular season, but also add an extra conference game. And the Big Ten and SEC can schedule challenge games among their teams and do so year to year, and maybe do those based off standings. So let's say your SEC champion this year goes against your Big Ten champion in the season opener the next year.
So it's things like that where you would get a Georgia taking on, oh gosh, I don't even remember who won the Big Ten this year, because I know Ohio State didn't even win the Big Ten, but they won the national championship. Who won the Big Ten this year? What was that? No, it wasn't Indiana. Wow, how about this? Who won the Big Ten this year? I can't believe I'm blanking on that. Anyway, you'd have Georgia playing whoever won the Big Ten this year. Penn State? Was it Penn State? I'm going to say Penn State. I'm going to roll with Penn State.
We're looking it up on the lie.
Yeah.
On the fly here.
Big Ten football champ. By the way, that's talk radio in the background. That's our HD.2 channel. Penn State lost to Oregon. It was Oregon.
There you go.
Daggum. I at least remembered Penn State was in the game.
But since this stuff rolls over and I'm such a neophyte, I saw that. I'm going, well, no, that was last year. So I need to look for 220. No, it's still the 2024 championship.
Yeah, that's right.
Played in 2025.
Yeah, Oregon won 45-37 over Penn State, and I cannot believe I forgot about that already. I mean, but yeah, the only reason because we're in the deep heart of the SEC country. Of course, I focus a lot of attention on the Southeastern Conference, but I think that maybe kind of rolls into what Brandon was talking about of eliminating championship weekend for those crossover play-in games for the college football playoffs.
You know, I'm reminded of the words of Louis Grizzard. It's like two mules fighting over a turnip. Who cares?
Anyway, moving forward, it's a big weekend in college basketball. In fact, we will have Alabama, Tennessee front and center for you, but it's also a big one up at Rupp Arena as the Auburn Tigers, a place they have not won, say it with me, since 1988. Was that the end of the Reagan administration or the beginning of the Bush administration? I want to say it was. Anyway, that's more for
Bush
talk.
41.
Okay. That was more for Talk Radio, WZZN, our HD.2 channel. Here is Bruce Pearl from earlier today taking his squad up to Rupp.
I think the thing that I may stress to the team today is Kentucky is a unique matchup. And then when we go to Texas A&M, that is a completely unique matchup. And then we play Alabama at home. It's a completely unique matchup. So it is about matchups. And I think you probably could study over a period of time, why we may have more success against certain programs and certain teams historically that don't necessarily add up, and why there might be a couple of teams that we would struggle against. Maybe it has to do with style of play and how what we do matches up with what they do. We don't know how we'll match up against Mark Pope and Kentucky. We haven't played them yet. We'll see what that looks like.
Does it really affect your kids when you're playing in a place like Rupp? I mean, I know it's cavernous, but you've got guys on your team that have been playing a lot of basketball. I'm just always trying to figure out why it's been so long since Auburn's won there. And is there something about Rupp that's like scary?
Well, I think and I got asked that question before. It's because they've always been great, and we've usually been not great. So that's why it's 2-31. But I brought some really good Auburn and Tennessee teams up to Rupp and not one. So, it's their fans know the game. I've never gone to Kentucky where they didn't get a good whistle. That's just. But they've earned it. Like, in other words, I'm sorry, but I feel that way. I do. I feel that way. You put 19,000 people in every single night. You get a nationally ranked team. They're going to get a good whistle at home. They've earned it. Which means you got to go in there and you got to play great. Now we have not lost on the road in the SEC yet. It's almost March. And everybody makes such a big deal about the fact that, it's been said that we can't win away from Neville. They always talk about, and I'm so proud of our home court advantage at Neville, but so often they equate like our success was, well, it's because we win all of our games at Neville. We can't win on the road. That's just not true. And it's certainly not true this year, but it hasn't been true for the last several years.
That is a little bit of Bruce Pearl from earlier today as the Auburn Tigers heading up to Kentucky. By the way, Auburn did announce this afternoon that head football coach Hugh Freeze was diagnosed with an early form of prostate cancer. That was announced earlier today, but the good news is that it's a very early form of prostate cancer. Thankfully, it was detected early, and his doctors have advised that it's a very treatable and curable because of how early they caught it. But certainly prayers to Hugh Freeze and his family as they are dealing with that situation as well. And oh, by the way, it is what it is, Coach. and you know it as well as I do, a very important year for Hugh Freeze down on the Plains, but a bigger deal in the grand scheme of life with the announcement of prostate cancer for head coach Hugh Freeze. Over to the Crimson Tide we go. Alabama travels to Tennessee tomorrow, and still playing for quite a bit is Nate Oates' squad, but he certainly knows what his squad is up against up there on Rocky Top.
Yeah, so Amanda's our nutritionist, so it mainly affects him in that way because he can't eat till sundown.
Sorry about that. I queued that up at the wrong spot. Here is here is Nate Oates right out of the gate earlier today.
Haven't played particularly well here in the past, so it's going to be a tough matchup to start this 3-game stretch. You know, they're good. They got the number 1 defense in the country. They're tough. They're physical. We're going to have to handle their physicality here a lot better than we did last year. Take care of the ball. So, you know, I mean, it's just typical of a Tennessee team since I've been in the league. They're great on defense. They're tough. They've got some elite scorers that you're going to have to take care of. You know, Chaz Lanier's one of the best shooters in the country, and Ziegler's leading the league in assists. So, you know, they've got very good players in the offensive end, and they've got a great defensive system that's tough to score on. So we've got our hands full, we know. But, you know, we're more than capable if we bring the right mentality and take care of the ball and bring a defensive mindset for 40 minutes. So looking forward to seeing how our group responds. I think we've been playing better here lately. I think, you know, getting our legs back up under us, you know, young bloods getting more comfortable making shots. I think Cliff's starting to play his best basketball. We got a lot of guys playing the best basketball of the year right now.
That is Nate Oates from earlier today. That pregame coverage starts at 2:00 tomorrow, and that'll actually lead in to Huntsville Havoc hockey right over the airwaves right here. Myself and Joe Hunk will have the call there tomorrow night over at the VBC. A very successful night last night for the Huntsville Havoc as they down Macon 5-1 and are now in sole possession in first place in the SBHL. But we've got plenty to chew on as well with that. By the way, the Havoc are in Pelham tonight, taking on the Bulls before the group from Pelham comes up here Saturday, tomorrow, and we'll have the coverage for you over the airwaves.
Tell you what, just go ahead and get the app and leave it open and leave 97.7 The Zone on all weekend. We got stuff.
Yep.
You know, it's going to overflow into Monday.
Actually, right now, you've got UH Charger baseball over on the Charger Zone going on right now.
Joe Hunk's doing a great job of listening on that for a little bit.
I'll have the call for softball tomorrow as Valdosta State is in town. And again, congratulations to the UAH men's basketball team. Undefeated Gulf South Conference season. That's the first time in school history. Undefeated on the road. That's the first time in school history. Not bad. All right, we're going to re-rack some interviews for you on the other side. I will talk to you on, tomorrow night. What am I saying?
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Been thinking about what kind of truck you